Hello, good morning, everyone. So, how are you guys? Have you had breakfast? Have you guys had breakfast? 大家好，早晨，我叫 BILAL，我講返英文或者中文都 OK 嘅。So today I will talk about my story, which will be from zero to something. So this story is based on my personal experience in Hong Kong. So I come from Pakistan and I speak a language which called Urdu, and I am Muslim. So let's talk about my story. And then if you have any questions, you can ask me at the last. So first of all, I would like to explain I would like to talk about my academic in Hong Kong. So I came to Hong Kong in 2010. So I started from Form 1, and then after studying high school, I enter IB because after finishing my DSE, then I have to study foundation diploma in IB. So after IB, then I entered Lingnan University for higher diploma. So after finishing higher diploma, then I enter the Chinese University of Hong Kong. So I will explain one by one. I will tell you guys the story behind. So first of all, when I reached Hong Kong, I couldn't speak any language, such as I couldn't speak English, I couldn't speak Chinese. And then I entered Form 1. So on that time, as I said, I couldn't speak any language, right? So it took me a few years to learn the English and learn Cantonese. By that time, in 2013, I was kind of obese. So I started to run in 2012 or 13. After running for 1 to 2 years, I started join competitions, like running competitions, long distance. So after a few years, I enter elite team. This means I started to join a lot of competition and running. Then I won few competitions as well. So after a few years, when I enter elite team, then because on that time I almost had a DSE as well. But you know, if you are an athlete, like if you are a runner, you have to run twice a day, right? So I didn't have much time to study that hard. So I just focus on the sports. But then because I wanted to enter the university, but I couldn't enter because I said I was athlete, so I didn't have much time to study hard on that time as well. So by the time passed, as I said, I finished my DSE. Then my DSE result was not that good. So I go for IB. I study foundation diploma. So in foundation diploma, maybe some of you guys know what is foundation diploma. It is a diploma for you guys to get the minimum requirement, because if you cannot pass DSE, right? So you have to study, you have to get to level 2 in all the subjects in order to go for associate degree or higher diploma or even enter university. So while I was in IB, I was doing my study in foundation studies of hospitality. So I study 1 year, then I got an average of 80 CME. So CME is kind of grading, just like GPA is one of the grades for foundation diploma. So you have to get, I think you have to get a good number of CME in order to enter higher diploma or associate degree. But another thing, when I was in IB diploma, I was doing part-time, so I couldn't find any jobs because I was athlete, and also I didn't have much time. So I was doing part-time in security jobs. So you can see at the right-hand corner, these was the companies that I did I did a job as a security guard. So I work at night, and then in a daytime I go to study diploma. But then it was very difficult, you know that, right? So you have to work at night, daytime you study, and then very difficult to pick up your academic, or you have to do well in academic as well. But then I insisted, because I always wanted to be unique. I always wanted to inspire others. So no matter what, I kept going in that year. So after foundation diploma, after studying so hard, I entered higher diploma. So higher diploma was in Lingnan. We call Lingnan Institute of Education. So it is under the Lingnan University. So I entered higher diploma in sports coaching and leadership, because as I am athlete, and then I wanted to study something related to sports. So so only I can do that is to enter associate degree or higher diploma. I think some of you guys know what is higher diploma, right? So for year one, I have to keep my GPA. You can see here, I kept my GPA around 3.8, and then I was in Dean list for year one. But then year two, as I said, I got busy because you have to study so hard. You have to train for sports. Like I was a runner, so I have to train as well. So in year two, I had to keep the same GPA in order to climb up to the university. So year two, I kept the same GPA. I worked so hard in academic. So I had around six scholarship as well, and 2 outstanding sports award on that time. But as I can say, it's when I speak this, it's maybe very easy to say it. I kept the GPA, I worked so hard over the years and everything, but it is too difficult when you do it. So for now, I think if you guys have any questions, you can ask me. Before I move to the next part, I think I spoke too fast. So if you have any kind of a questions, like how you can go from HKDSE to diploma and diploma to higher diploma, if you have any question in the middle, you can ask me during the chat, so I can answer you one by one before I move to the next part. So if you can ask in Chinese, or you can ask in English as well. I stop for 1 to 2 minutes and then see whether you guys have any questions you want to ask. Or if you want to further study, but you don't know how to study, so you can ask me, because I had experience. So okay, let me give you a tips for if you are in high school, I mean secondary school, you can actually finish DSE, and you can, because if your DSE result is good, you can go to the university, right? But if your DSE is not, you don't have enough grades to enter the university, you can go step by step, such as you can go for foundation diploma, then after foundation diploma, you can go for high diploma. So that's how you can climb up. Okay, so one person asked me, how did I learn to speak Chinese? Actually, I just learned by when people speaks. When people speaks, I just pick up Cantonese, then I speak with my friends. So that's how I learn, through communications. For maybe you can ask. I didn't really learn how to write. I mean, for the past few years, but in high school I learned how to write, but just very basic one. But for speaking, mostly I communicate with my friends, I communicate with my classmates, and then that's how I pick up the Cantonese. OK， 即係有啲人話講廣東話都可以嘅，但係因為多數可能有啲人唔識聽廣東話，所以我講返英文。Okay, so let's move to the next part. Thank you so much for listening to my talks. So after high diploma, I went to undergraduate. So what is undergraduate? Undergraduate is for degree program. So I entered the Chinese University of Hong Kong. My major was exercise science and health education, which is 2 years program. Because if you study high diploma or associate degree, and if you want to enter some sports program, you can enter. There are 3 sports programs. One is in the Chinese University of Hong Kong. The other one is Education University of Hong Kong, and the third one is Baptist University. So I entered Chinese University because it was one of my dream university. And so I entered this program with the GPA. The minimum requirement for this program is 3.5 or 3.6 GPA. On that time, as I said, my GPA was around 3.7 or 3.8. So I entered this program with the good GPA and also sports performance. Because if you enter this program, you have to be good at the sports, and your academic should be top one as well. So when I entered this program, I had a 2 years elite athlete scholarship, and I also had a college scholarship, because you know that in Chinese university, there are colleges, right? So I was in college and I had a college scholarship as well. So my department, sports science and physical education, I had a exemplary students award. This means I got awarded in the last year. So in the second year, I was appointed as a captain of CUSK cross country team. So cross country is running one of the running event, and I was also a captain for in 2019 to 2020 as well. So if I think back from high school, because I was new arrivals, I couldn't speak any language. So from high school to Ivy, then Ivy to higher diploma to the Chinese University of Hong Kong, it took me 5 years. It took me 5 years to reach my one of the dream university, and I had good achievement as well. But then after finishing my undergraduate last year, so another thing, I wanted to enter the postgraduate diploma. Postgraduate diploma is for Hong Kong teachers. So if you want to be a teacher, then you have to study this postgraduate diploma of education. So last year I entered this program, which is called Postgraduate Diploma of Education in Physical Education, so PE teacher. So basically, after finishing this program, I can be a PE teacher in Hong Kong. Because as I said, I always wanted to be a unique. I always wanted to enter teaching professions, because one of my dream is to be a PE teacher and inspire others. So maybe I ask this question. I always ask these questions to myself as well. Why I insisted to work persistently hard for past few years. I think somehow I cannot even answer these questions. It is just one of my dream to be an educated person and be a professional, and also to prove my family that education is a kind of a ladder you can climb, right? So if you have an education, you can know what is going on with the outside world. And of course, the second point, I wanted to be unique and inspired. And then I wanted to be a role model for new generation. It can be ethnic minorities in Hong Kong, because in Hong Kong there are quite large number of ethnic minorities, around I think 8 to 9%. So it is quite big number. So the other thing is, as I was athlete, right? I was runner. I think there are a lot of other ethnic minorities, a lot of South Asians. They wanted to run, or they wanted to play sports, but they don't know how they can go further. Of course, they are good at sports, but if you are good at sports, that doesn't mean that you know how to go further. If you want to study in sports, you have to know the path. So that's how I mean, that's one of the reasons I want to be a PE teacher, so I can help and I can produce the talented athlete. It can be a local Hong Kong people, or it can be ethnic minorities. It can be anyone, because I want to bring some positive education to this Hong Kong society. So that's why I wanted to be a PE teacher. So this is one of the reasons behind. So maybe I think this is a quote I copied from online. One of the scholars said that when you live for a strong purpose, then hard work isn't an option, it is a necessity. So the quote is basically saying, if you have some purpose of doing something, you will work hard through it, right? So I hope people who are listening, it can be a primary school students, or can be it can be secondary school students, or parents, or everyone. If you guys have a purpose to do something, I think it shouldn't be very difficult. Of course, it is difficult to do it. As I said, I spent 5 to 6 years to reach here, but I didn't have any knowledge of English. I didn't have any knowledge of Chinese. I was like at a zero knowledge, but I could still reach here, today who I am, and because of hard work, because of dedications. So before I move to the next part, again, if you guys have any questions, please ask me, and then I can answer. You can ask me how you can go from higher diploma to undergraduate to postgraduate. So you can ask me anything. And one of the questions, okay, so someone asked me about the greatest difficulty encountered in Hong Kong. I think the greatest difficulty, if you are a new arrival in Hong Kong, first the language barriers, right? You couldn't speak English, you couldn't speak Chinese, then it is very difficult for you to communicate. Very, very difficult. So this is one of the difficulty. 即係我覺得如果你係新嚟香港，即係你入到香港，你想住香港，你啱啱嚟香港嗰時可能我都唔識講英文，嗰時我都唔識講中文，所以我覺得呢個係最困難啦。即係如果你講唔到咩話，你講唔到英文，你講唔到中文，最難係呢個。之後okay, so the other question, someone asked me how much time I had for my resting or spare time. So actually, as a simple, I was working at night. Daytime, I go to study. So at night, I also run. So in the middle, because when you study when you study diploma or high diploma, in the middle, maybe you have sometimes, maybe you have few hours. So on that time, when I have some time in the middle, then I just go out and do sports, or I just train because I was athlete, right? So I train running. So basically I didn't have much time to rest, maybe just 4 to 5 hours every day. Though that's why it was very difficult. Okay, so any more questions with okay, so if you guys have any question, you can ask me, or you can just let me know. All right, so to make it simple, as I said, because of the language barriers, I couldn't do anything, right? So that's why one of the reason, because when you don't know how to speak language, then you will have a big motivation to improve your language. Such as, let's say, if some students here, if they are not good at English, but they want to learn English, so what they can do, maybe you have these questions in your mind. So I think if you want to learn a language, you have to speak. This is the most important one. If you don't speak, if you just watch TV or watch movies to learn the language, then I think it's very difficult, because you are just listening. You are just looking at the words. You know how to write, you know how to listen, but you can't speak because you are not speaking with friends or with family members. So if you want to learn any language, just like I learned Cantonese. So how I can learn Cantonese, because I speak. Even I'm speaking wrong, then I speak. So that's how you improve the language. If I don't. Okay, so someone asked me if he or she don't like reading. So how can that person have a good result? So I think if you don't like reading, then at least you can speak or listen, right? Even I don't like reading, but if you want to learn, if you have a purpose of something, then I think you will do it. Of course, you don't have to read every day. Like, you don't have to read books. I don't even like to read books, but of course you have to do something which can help you to improve it. Just like you can speak more, you can listen more, you can read if you do homework, you are not reading the whole books, right? So you can just go through some parts, which is important ones. So I think that will help. What do I don't know, is it a question for me or not? But someone asked what I do in the morning. In the morning, maybe I sometimes exercise, and then if I have a lesson, because I'm still studying postgraduate diploma, so sometimes I have a lesson, then I have to attend the lesson in the morning. Okay, so the other person asked, do you play a video games? No, I'm sorry, I don't know how to play any games other than sports. So I don't spend my times on video games or phone games or other games. Mostly I do sports. I just go out and play sports or study hard. All right, so let's move to the next part. I think maybe you will be interested. So if you want to know more about me, you can go through this media coverage. So last year there was a video about my running story. You can search in HK01. Okay, so someone asked what is my hobby other than sports. I think my hobby is, other than sports, is just to study hard, I guess. I don't have much hobbies other than sports. Yeah. Okay, so I think you can see the PowerPoint, right? So if you want to know more about my story or personally myself, so you can just go through because it's in Chinese. 而家有啲人唔想睇英文，我見到有啲人話唔想睇英文咯，所以如果你唔想睇英文呢個中文，你可以睇睇。What time do I sleep? I sleep very early, like around 10, 11. All right, so this is the media coverage. You can see the news, and then the last one should be in my college. This means it was just released last year, so you can also go through the. But anyway, before we go through other things, you can ask me any questions about running, about education, or you can ask about the language, or you can feel free to ask anything. Do I like to run? Yes, I was athlete. As I mentioned, I used to be a runner, long distance runner. And then I still like running, of course. It is one of, it is the most playable hobby, right? So for primary students, if you guys have a difficulties of English, I hope you can, because I'm sure you guys like to watch cartoons, right? So find something that is maybe in English. So listen more, speak with your friends. Don't shy to speak. One of my philosophy, if you want to learn any language, you have to speak. And if you are shy, then I think it's difficult for you to learn any language, and maybe even Chinese, right? So if you are learning Chinese, you have to speak more, you have to practice more. So practice makes perfect. Do I write diary? No, not much. But of course, I put a notes, such as if I have something coming up, or if I want to do something which is very important, then you should have a notebook or you should have a diary. It's a good, but maybe for me, I have a app on my phone, then I just write on the phone, so which can remind me anytime. Yes, I like Mr. Bean. Tom and Jerry, yes, of course. Oh, why I want to come to because I wanted to, explore more, and then I came here for education as well. And actually, we are based in Hong Kong. My family is based in Hong Kong as well. A favorite food in Hong Kong. Favorite food. I think I like Lai Cha. Hong Kong, yeah, Hong Kong food, maybe Lai Cha, Chao Fan. Okay, so any more questions about related to education, language, or even sports? Or if you are planning to study sports but you don't know how, so if yes, I can speak Indian language. I can speak few languages. So I think that's it, because like how much language? How many languages? So I speak around 3 to 4 language, 4 languages. So 2 is my native language and 1 is English. The 4th one is Chinese. I can speak Urdu, Hindi, I can speak English, I can speak Chinese. A drawing, yes. Yes, I can draw, but my drawing is not good. Okay, guys, thank you so much for. So basically, I think we don't have much questions left, right? So we can end up here. I hope to see you guys. I hope to see you guys next time. All right. So thank you so much.